I 28M. Overheard my fiance 27F. Tell her friend that I'm great, but I'll never be a better lover than her ex, who broke up with her and is the only reason I was able to date her, because he's more gifted than me down there, and I'm absolutely gutted. It was quite by accident that I heard this. We had a group of our friends over, and as the night went on, we all kind of broke off into little groups. Some of us were in one room playing Texas Hold, and a couple of others were watching a Lord of the Rings marathon. I thought she was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee and talking. Our group had run out of soda, so I got up to go to the kitchen to get drinks and a couple of snacks. As I was rounding the corner, I heard my fiancée talking, and before I completely entered the room, I heard her clearly say, "Jason is great, but he will never be the lover that Bill was." She then followed it up with, "It's not really fair to Jason, though Bill was just really gifted down there." At first, I thought about just walking back into the card game and pretending like we didn't have any extra soda or food, but I decided to make a noise and go in. Her friend caught sight of me rounding the corner, and I could see her make a face to my fiancé, letting her know I was there. Of course, she had no idea. I heard her, and she just stopped talking to her and asked me how I was doing and if I was having fun. I was tempted to say something like, "I'm having as much fun as someone who is not gifted down there can." But I didn't. I just said yes and proceeded to get my stuff and go back and finish the night. I just acted like nothing was wrong the rest of the night and went to bed. Needless to say, it messed me up. It messed me up bad. I'd never been jealous or what you would call insecure about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night, and I went through a myriad of emotions while lying there. At first I was angry, then I was humiliated, then I was depressed, then I was angry again. Look, I realize that the male ego seems stupid to women, and even to guys who are totally self-assured. I would have agreed with most of this prior to that night, but once it has been damaged, it is a beach. I try to hide any form of emotion about it, or ever let her know, but as the days went on, I just kept getting worse and worse. I was avoiding her at all costs, and while she was suspicious, she didn't really say anything. That is, until she attempted to be intimate with me a few days later, and I flat out rejected her. It wasn't a conscious decision on my part, by the way. I had made the decision on my own to just try and get over it and move on. But in the moment, instead of being sexually aroused, I felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening, no matter how much either of us tried. She asked me what was wrong, and I just told her I must have been stressed from work. But she would not believe that or let it go, so much to my humiliation. There I lay naked in bed, unable to get it up. I came clean and told her what I heard. Well, this did not go over well at all. At first, she tried to tell me I did not hear her correctly, but I just repeated to her verbatim what she had told her friend once. She couldn't deny it. She then tried to apologize and, to her credit, she tried to listen to my feelings on a matter which, once again, I'm sure, was more of a big turn-off for her, because I was a wreck emotionally. She tried to tell me how much of a better person I was and how I satisfied her, and that she wanted nobody else. But all I could hear was Charlie Brown's teacher noise. It's been almost a month, and I have zero desire to be with her. Sexually, none. She is now getting frustrated about this as well. But no matter what I've tried, I just cannot get past this. It's not like she said we were both good lovers or anything like that. She clearly said he was far superior, and my guess is that being gifted down there means he was significantly larger than me as well. Well, I know I can do all kinds of things with my hands, tongue, and whatever else, but no matter what I do, I can't grow in size. Obviously, she refuses to talk about that with me, saying that, no matter what she says, it will only make things worse, because even if she says something positive about me, I won't believe her. She's most likely right. Some backstory here. He dumped her. It was not a mutual breakup. He flat out dumped her and broke her heart. I know this because early on in our relationship, she told me this. She said she wasn't ready to be serious about anybody because her previous ex left her and emotionally broke her. So this is not a case of me even being able to say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't dumped her, she would never have left him. Now I have no idea if, after all of these years, she would leave me for him if he came back. But I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do here. I can feel myself checking out of the relationship. I know this is petty as crap, but hearing the person you love tell someone else they prefer to have sex with someone else is just devastating to me. Her telling me all of my other good qualities has only made it worse, because she is saying things that I think appeal to her and maybe other women. But being told I am a good provider and will make a great husband makes me feel like crap. Like, what would happen if I lost my good-paying job? Or, better yet, what if I were to get injured and couldn't make anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and help me? Basically, what I feel like right now is a really good friend who she just allowed to have sex with. I know in my head that this is not correct, but in my heart, that is what I feel. I'm sorry for the length here, and I don't even know what I'm asking. I am totally lost, and if this continues, I just think I'm going to break our engagement. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Man, here I once messed up by saying something that made my girlfriend at the time feel self-conscious sexually. She very quickly checked out a relationship, and I don't blame her one bit, because it was my own damn fault. It's not a male ego thing. Nobody wants to feel less than, and when SGS is involved, self-esteem is crucial. You can't be with someone who makes you feel unsexy, and nothing you can do can help you force yourself to ignore it. I'm sure your fiance regrets what she said, but the fact is that you're worried. All the stuff she said she loves about you means that she's settling for not great sex in favor of boring, nebulous stuff like will make a good husband, which in your mind is something most guys can do. You don't want to be loved in spite of your Dennis. Who wants that? But in my opinion, the crux of it is this. She said, Jason is great, but he'll never be the lover that Bill was. Instead of Jason will never be the lover Bill was, but he's still great. Don't waste time in this relationship. I'm not saying she's a bad person or that she doesn't deserve love. I'm just saying that both of you will be happier with other people. She is not mentally in this relationship 100%, and now that you know this, neither are you. Don't waste a decade figuring out that you could both do better than half-assing a relationship. Commenter 2. My ex ruined my confidence in another way, but the result was similar. Zero attraction to her, and I legit couldn't get hard damn near, even if I tried. Even with other girls who I found incredibly attractive, I thought something was wrong with me. Fast forward 5 years without her, and all the problems are sorted. It's amazing what your confidence will do to you, and it sounds like yours has taken a beating. So if it were me in this situation again, I'd immediately cut my losses and move on. Sorry, no one wants to hear that, but it's likely your quickest path to normally. Commenter 3. As a man married to the same woman for 20 years, what your girlfriend said is disrespectful as hell. Our marriage survives on only a handful of steadfast rules. One big one is to the outside world. Be each other's biggest defender. I.e., if you have criticisms of your significant other, save them for private times and share them only with each other or the occasional very close friend or family member, and they need be constructive all other times. Defend your significant other's honor, pride, and well-being to everyone, right or wrong. Your girlfriend straight up broke that rule big time. Not only did she not defend you, she was the one putting you on the chopping block. Then she tried to play it off and keep it secret from you, like a goddamn gossiping teenager crap talking about you behind your back. Triple whammy. Now you are stuck, unable to unhear what she said. Will you ever be able to trust her again? I doubt it. In the end, my advice is, ask yourself if there is anything she could humanly say and or do to repair that violation of trust. If the answer is no, or even probably not, move on, edit. After the fact, I realize this is a fiance. Move on is not a simple option. To that I say, tell her how that comment made you feel. Hopefully she'll recognize the gravity of her comment, see how demoralizing it was, and try to make amends if possible. Opie adds an edit to his post. Holy God, I made this post last night, answered a couple questions, and then went to bed. I got up today and went Christmas shopping hoping to forget my troubles, and didn't even log in until just now. I haven't even started to read the, at this point, 7.7,000 comments on this post. I don't know what anyone has said yet, but thank you all for commenting. Either way, I am now going to begin the massive undertaking of looking at the comments. Also, thank you for the gold and silver kind internet strangers. Opie added a second edit to his post. Dear God, I read all the way down the bottom of the page thinking I had gotten through most everything, and then at the bottom it said, load 5.5K more posts. I'm stopping for the night. Well, morning. Actually, I was going to respond to people individually, but there is just no way. I haven't even started reading the direct messages to me yet, nor have I opened any of the 20 chat screens. There are issues I want out there because a couple of things are being said that are not accurate. She was supposed to use the Barney Gumble phrase, sweet, sweet, drunk talk. In other words, she and her friend were drunk while talking. Nope, neither of us drink. We don't even have it in the house. That I am upset. She told her friend, well, this is an odd thing. Before I posted this, honestly, I wasn't that upset about this part. I was then and still am far more upset that this is how she feels. However, now, after reading a lot of the post, I have become somewhat aggravated that she did share this with her friend. I would never say anything about her to anyone that would put her in a lesser light, that I am an insecure man-child who should just man up and learn to do better. Well, I'm certain. The first part is true, be insecure and all, but the last part is just out of my control. No matter what I do, I will only ever be 7 and long. We have talked about this, by the way. When she was trying to build me up, she said that I was already great with everything, but the one thing I can't control. Okay, so I gave myself about a ½ inch to feel better. No, I'm not going to do anything rash. It's already been a month, so it's not like this happened last week. But yes, I have to decide what I'm going to do here before long. It's not fair to either of us if I am just coasting through this and no longer committed. She is sorry that I heard it. She said she is sorry. She said it. But at the end of the day, she would not be sorry if I hadn't caught her saying it. It is what it is. But yes, I do believe she is regretting it, because she has basically been a mess since I first told her me. Not wanting to be with her is bothering her a lot, according to her. I don't know how much of that I believe, but right now I guess I don't know why she would lie. It really has wrecked hell on our Christmas spirit this year. I know that Opie adds a third edit to his post. Engineer. For those who keep asking what I do for a living, she is a paralegal. Opie adds a 4th edit to his post. People have been asking about the relationship with the ex and how I know she was heartbroken. We met about 9 months after they separated. I know that ultimately he wanted to be with someone else, although she has claimed he never cheated. He just ended things so he could be with another woman. She approached me at a local workshop, and we started dating on our 4th date. When things started to get physical, she broke down crying about the ex. It was certainly weird to hold someone while they cried about someone else, but I did it. We sporadically dated for a couple more months, during which time I never tried to cross any boundaries physically, because it was obvious she wasn't over him. So, while we just went out on dates, I tried to keep myself in the mindset that we were just friends because I didn't want to commit either. After close to 2 months, she dragged me from my car to her apartment and began to tell me how much she appreciated my patience with her and how she felt stupid about dragging me along for so long. Obviously, that was our first night together. Within 3 months of that, she was telling me that she loves me. So yes, she was still hung up on her ex for a fact. When we got together, I had thought and hoped she was over him before this happened. Update 3 days later. The main thread has over 8.3K posts and is a couple days old now, but I wanted to try and respond some general thoughts. It is absolutely impossible for me to respond to everyone or even most people. And at this point, putting up edits, I think, is counterproductive because the thread is a few days old now. So I doubt people are going back to reread the original post. I don't want to make an update there yet, because I'm not really updating anything. Nothing has happened yet per se. However, I have a few things to get off my chest. So this seems like the best place to do that before I update my original post. I have had so many people post on the original thread, and twice as many people send me PMs telling me to hit the weight room, get in shape, and transform myself into some form of weightlifting. God, I am sure that these people are all filled with the best of intentions. Well, not all of them, because I've also had several people call me all forms of names while telling me to hit the weights. Here is a problem for those people. They are using a stereotype about engineers and think that I fit that stereotype. I was a state finalist in wrestling in high school and got a partial scholarship to a Division II school for wrestling. I competed both my freshman and sophomore years. However, due to throwing a goddamn baseball, I tore my rotator cuff, and while my recovery had me well on my way back, my physical therapy prohibited me from being ready for my junior year. I did not go back for my senior year, as my workload and girlfriend were too much to also dedicate the time for wrestling. Wrestling was very physically demanding and time-consuming. Now, I freely admit that not training to compete did not leave me in even 1/8 the shape I was in at my prime, but I have stayed in shape to this day. I still lift and do cardio at my local gym. I've been getting my rear kicked lately by my friend, who is doing a Muay Thai workout. I've been trying to keep up with him, but freely admit I have a lot of leg work to do. Now, this leads me to want to focus on a couple of other things. You will notice I said girlfriend, contrary to what some of you have said or implied. I was not some incel or neckbeard prior to meeting my fiance. I have had several girlfriends, and yes, even a couple of NSA relationships, so that is why this bothered me more than it probably should have. In other words, prior to this, while I may not have been the world's most confident guy, I never felt like it was an issue. I've never, ever had another woman say something like this in earshot of me about me. I mean, did they say it when I couldn't hear? I have no idea, but till the moment she said that I never had any self-doubt or lack of confidence. Now, does me having this mental breakdown over this make me a man-child weak or a straight-up wussy, as I've been called? I don't know. Maybe, hell, probably, but bluntly speaking, I've never had anything like this happen to me before. Every breakup I've ever gone through was, for the most part, mature. I had a very childish breakup in high school, but does that even count? Also, to all the geniuses that keep telling me to learn a new technique or practice, or just plain better at segs, that's not the issue here, guys. She didn't say that I could work on the issue at hand. She straight up told her friend that I would never be able to measure up, so to speak, because of a physical attribute that I can do nothing about. I could become an Oriental lick master, and at the end of the day, I am never going to be able to finish her by jackhammering with what I can only imagine must be a 9 in dong. Should that matter? Well, it effing doesn't matter. If it should matter, it obviously does to her, or she would not have said it. I don't know of any single way we can in-ring this bell, which then brings me to the biggest thing I want to get off my chest. There are several posters, both men and women, and, ironically, gay males over 30 who have a subreddit that I guess I am a topic on, who have said it's just sex. Well, those words do not exist in my vocabulary for someone I love. I admit that I had a couple of NSA partners in grad school, but even with them I developed feelings and had to part because I could not just do that. I don't do ONS, and since my mid-20s, I have only participated in SGS via relationship. I found out that I am just not capable of having sex, and just having sex. I get it. There are many of you who don't feel that way. Great for you. I don't feel that way, and I am not going to fight myself to make myself feel that way. Do I need to be my fiance's best ever? Well, why the hell should I not want that? If you would have asked me before that night, I would have thought I was. But now that I know I'm not, well, no, I'm not really okay with the fact that I can never measure up. I mean, if I could work on something or improve something or take more time or something, sure. But to hear her say I can never be as good, yeah, sorry, that is a little more than my ego can take. Call me whatever name you want, but it is what it is. But some of the really most disgusting stuff that was said to me is that I should be happy that she is with me and allows me to have sex with her. So she must want me, allows me to have sex with her. I cannot describe in enough words how that offends me. Maybe I've lived in a Disney fantasy world for too long, but I always wanted to be with someone who wanted to be with me, not someone who allows me out of some form of obligation. So does that make me A? As a few of you have PM'd me. I don't care if it does. I refuse to be a person who begs for segs. Period. If whoever I'm with does not want to be with me as much as I want to be with her, then it. I'll just pay an escort and probably save myself money in the long run. Look, I don't know for 100% sure what I'm going to do, yet I have a very strong feeling about what I'm going to do, but I haven't done anything yet. If this is the wrong forum, just let me know. Anyway, I'll try and do my best to respond to posts here. Second update. for days later. It all came to a head last night. She just came out and asked me if I didn't love her anymore, and all I could tell her was that a very large part of me still did, but that what she said had really made it so that another part of me just didn't anymore. This started a larger conversation that I won't bore you with, but ultimately it came down to me saying that if I had heard he was just better at something or more attentive to something or was able to do something, I would have felt like I could have worked on it. I would have listened to anything she wanted, worked on any technique, or anything else that she would have shared with me. But to know that I was never going to measure up simply because of a physical issue was not something I thought I could get over anytime soon, if ever. For that matter, I was even honest and said that if it was just a one-night stand she had, or some random guy who was just huge, I might be able to get past that. But knowing that it was a guy she was still madly in love with when I met her, and only over time did she ever start to come around, then it was just more than I could handle. She kept trying to tell me how much better I was at everything else, and that I shouldn't throw away a lifetime over one aspect. I told her that that one aspect, sadly, was just too high for me. Not all things are equal, and honestly it's a mental failing on my part that it is. But whether it's genetics or a learned trait or whatever, the truth is, yes, I needed to be my spouse's best, and she has already made it clear that I can never be. I tried my best to be gentle. I tried to take all the blame, stating that I knew my attitude was probably not healthy, but it was who I am. By the way, I'm typing this as though it were a clean conversation. It wasn't. There was lots of crying by both of us. This is not a happy ending, or even a satisfying one. I am beyond effed up in the head over the entire situation. Everybody's Christmas is ruined. We had big family gatherings that we were both attending together, and now we have to somehow break it to our families. What has happened? This alone is causing me massive stress because my parents loved her, and what in the hell am I going to say is the reason we're not together? She didn't cheat, and if I say that I felt like she was still hung up on her ex, she will obviously deny it, and she will tell him the truth. It's effed up. No matter how this goes down, in the end I feel like a massive failure. I feel like a failure as a man, because of not living up to comparison. And I feel like a failure because I wasn't able to just man up and either get over it. She has begged me to go to couples counseling, and initially I said no, because at the end of the day, what does it change? We can talk about every single thing, and I can try to look at things in a different way. But at the end of the day, the woman I wanted to marry just told one of our friends that no matter what I do, I will never be as good as her ex. I just cannot see 5 years from now ever being okay with this. But because she legitimately seems heartbroken, I agreed to go. But that does not mean I will keep going. Today I moved out a lot of my stuff, and I'm staying with a coworker for a few days until I can get a place for myself. She has been with her sister all day. I feel like crap. Thank you to everyone who took the time to type out a response. I honestly have tried to read everything, even if I didn't reply to very many. The beach of all of this is that I still love her. There is so much of me right now that want to pick up the phone, call her, and beg her to come back. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. My man, you are not a massive failure. You are a normal human being with feelings just like everybody else. While I don't disagree with your decision at all, I do think you should get counseling for yourself. It won't hurt and could do a world of good for you moving forward and getting past this. There is someone out there for you who will appreciate you for everything you have to offer. Commenter 2. I'm a woman, so I don't face the massive cultural thing we have around DICE, but I would absolutely not be able to get over it if I overheard my fiance compare me unfavorably to his ex to a mutual friend. Why was she even saying those things out loud? Do what you need to do, but she's done something painfully stupid and unkind. That is not spouse behavior. She is not ready to be a wife. I think you should tell your parents that you overheard her, disparaging you to a mutual friend, and that you don't want to marry someone who talks about you that way and then decline to take questions. But do it before any big get-togethers. Commenter 3. To add, on top of that, you're forgetting how at first she tried to deny it when confronted, and for a while she wouldn't talk about it. When Opie wanted to discuss it, giving the admittedly valid but still whatever excuse that Opie probably wouldn't believe her. When she talks about how Opie is good in ways her ex isn't, and she tried to reassure her with stuff like how he's a good provider and will make a good husband, and the implication, though not stated, is that overhearing her compare him to her ex at this party is the absolute first time he's hearing about her lack of sexual satisfaction in any fashion. Blabbing publicly, with no alcohol involved, about how the person she's going to marry will never measure up to her ex in the bedroom is bad enough. Hell. It even implies she's comfortably discussed this stuff with friends before, but it's all the other stuff above surrounding it that makes it worse. I mean, if she had owned up to it and tried earnestly to talk about it, it wouldn't be as bad. Hell, if she had tried to fix her sex life with Opie's help before blabbing to her friends about how Opie doesn't measure up, it would be great. But her actions before and after this, at least within the time span of the original post, paint a picture that even if she isn't settling for Opie, her ex has a real shot. Should he come back into the picture, I could be blowing crap up too much. But all that other stuff is poking out like spikes to me. Opie adds an edit to his post. Well, once again I posted this and then went away for a while. I went with my friend to see Mortal Engines and then to dinner, and we've been talking for a long while. So I started reading a while ago. It's going to take me forever to read. And once again, I don't think responding individually will ever happen because of the large number of posts and private messages. But thank you all for reading and responding. Opie adds a second edit to his post. I guess I do want to share one thing I spoke with her about when we were having our very long conversation. I presented her with a scenario for her to compare. I know her well enough to know that comparing body parts or sexual prowess isn't going to impact her the same way it would me. So I put the scenario to her like this. I said, what if you walked in and overheard me talking with my friend Tim, and you heard this? Jill is great, but she will never understand me and comfort me the way Tiffany did. But it's not Jill's fault. Tiffany is just the smartest, most compassionate person I've ever known, and Jill just isn't as smart. Then, if she were to confront me about saying those things about her, my response to her would have been, I love you for all of your other qualities. Nobody makes a sandwich like you do, and I think long-term you won't gauge me for my money. At first she tried to say that this was a totally different issue, but once we talked more about it, she finally agreed. It is because of the way we both approach and value sex. She ultimately admitted that this would really hurt her feelings, but she would not break up with me over it. I then responded that, even in my make-believe scenario, which, by the way, I would never say to anyone out loud about anyone I loved, she could improve her level of education and learn to be more compassionate. Opie adds a third edit to his post. If anyone even reads this, I want to add one last thing. People have been telling me what a whiny beach I am. That's one of the kinder things they've said, because I can't get over someone else in the world having a bigger D than me. Not gonna lie and say I'm thrilled with it, but I'm not dumb enough to think I have a giant magic wand or anything. I had grown up believing what I now know to be a lie. That women don't care about size. Some don't, but obviously some do, and my ex is one of those that obviously did. But even with that, ultimately I might have been able to get over it if it was just said as a matter of fact. But hearing that no matter what I did, how much I loved her or anything else, that I was never going to be as good, is what's bothered me since, yes, size is obviously a big part of it. But if I hadn't heard that I would never be the lover, I think I might have been okay. Well, not okay, but at least not relationship killing. Yes, I overvalue SGS, I get that. Yes, it is very important to me. And well, frankly, I want to be wanted as much as I want to want someone, if that makes any sense. Yes, I know whoever I date in the future will most likely have had someone who is either bigger, better, or whatever, but I would really hope that they would not be still hung up on it a few years later. Third update. 2 months later, I wasn't on post anymore, but I am still getting daily direct messages wanting to know how things are going. I do appreciate the kind words and concerns, but just so anyone who cares can know it is over. I went to counsel with her on 3 different occasions, and honestly, I try to have an open mind about it. But at the end of the day, the obstacle was just too much to overcome. I even gave her an opportunity to walk back her statement or amend it or, well, do whatever she wanted with it. But instead, she doubled down in a way I think by that time she was very frustrated as well. Neither of us is really happy about this. It has been an absolute nightmare for me trying to avoid telling people or family why we are no longer together. Of course, I tried the old. It's none of your business with some of them, but that failed spectacularly. And since I refused until they decided she cheated on me and started spreading that around, I've had to do a lot of damage control over that. I've decided to continue with therapy on a personal level because, honestly, this entire thing has really messed with my head, and I have no self-esteem left at all. I've only seen her once since we separated, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. She is now, justifiably so, in the angry stage. She is furious with me and has called me everything you can imagine, and then even made up some words. Top/relevant comments. Commenter, best of luck. Moving forward, her reaction to the situation is a big flag that you guys had systemic problems that are much deeper than her having an ex she enjoyed having sex with. It's good that you realize that, took steps to work through it, and then moved on when that became clear. In time, it will sting less, but this will be a lot better for you in the long run. Best of luck. Commenter 2, honestly, if I had asked, am I the best/biggest/W, was he better? And she told me truthfully that her ex was better, that would be one thing, because my response would be to work together to try and make our sex better, whether it be with positions, toys, fantasy, etc. The only reason I think you have the right and reason to take the action you did is because she was telling her friends that about you guys like that. That's humiliating and cold to talk about. Essentially, telling her friend my fiance is adequate but doesn't compare here instantly makes you feel worthless to her. Basically like comparing animals. Guys don't mention to their guy friends how tight their girl snatches are, because we don't view them like animals. Ironically, I hear girls talk just like that about dude sizes all the time. Commenter 3, she's mad at you, lol. She should take this as a life lesson and self-reflect. I applaud you, man. You don't need that crap. No one does. One day she'll realize a mistake and try to talk to you. That's when you need to be strong and stick to your guns. She's shown enough throughout this story to definitely call her a narcissist. You dodged a missile. You've been thinking about this your entire relationship. Now spend time on yourself and regain your self-esteem. Gym, wardrobe, haircut. Don't dwell on the fact that she hurt you. Be grateful. She showed her true colors and you were able to witness it.